question number 3 is, say for example, I do end up choosing the computer science program. But after experience, I find out that computer engineering program or their software is ultimately a better fit for me. Is it possible to switch streams and programs? How about switching from software engineering to computer engineering or computer science?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
This is a funny question because
Oh yeah, you want to take this one, Philip?
because before I even go into the explanation, yes, 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 as the answer to all the questions you have asked, in this part, thing is this. So when I started off, when I was transitioning between high school and university, the deadline for our final acceptance that we had to do on OUAC, I had accepted my pre-med degree, all right? And that's what I was getting into. I received my scholarships for that, and everything was settled for that. 2 weeks after that, I received received a call from York, and they gave me certain conditions, right? That like additions to my degree, which caught my interest. I was like, you know what? Maybe engineering is the route for me to take because I was still on the fence whether medicine is really the route to take or engineering. So I was able to change my program from a different university to York's engineering, right? I also got into York's engineering as a mechanical engineer because that was my initial interest point.
Mhm.
And halfway into the first semester, I had switched over to software engineering, and then I got closer with these guys, and then I also came to learn a bit more about the real difference between software and computer engineering because till that point, I did not really understand what the real difference was. I just looked at software being the top level, right? Not no hate, right? But then when I learned the difference and when I came to understand the factor of being able to have the hardware and the software component mixed together into one program, right? That again swayed me over to computer engineering. So I switched. So in short, I switched from mechanical engineering to software engineering. Now in computer engineering, almost finishing up second year soon. So it is possible to switch.
Philip's tested everything you possibly can test. So I think yeah, that kind of just sums up what the question is. It's possible to switch, especially with like transfer credits, right? Because if you're someone who's in software eng and is trying to switch into computer eng or comp sci, your credits can be it's transferable. I believe computer eng to software eng would be really easy, but if you were to switch to like the eng to sciences, you might have to take additional math courses, I believe.
Physics and math. Yeah.
Yes. So those would be the additional courses that you would have to take if you're switching, even like vice versa. If you're coming from computer science to eng, you might have to take additional physics courses or different math courses. Or if you're switching from eng to comp sci, you might have to take more of the science courses in the sense of like not science courses, math courses like Boolean math and all of that stuff, like discrete mathematics. Yeah, I would say mainly discrete mathematics and all of that.
I would just suggest, like, if you want to make the switch, just make it like as fast or as soon as possible in your university time, because it usually gets harder as you go into upper years and stuff to switch between these courses. And also, like, what I have seen is it's generally easier to switch from an engineering degree to a computer science degree than the other way around, only because engineers do kind of do the same courses as computer science students, but we do a little bit extra courses such as physics, chemistry, and all of that. It's a little bit easier for engineers to switch. So if you're still on the fence about engineering, computer science, and you want to try out engineering for a bit, that might be a better route to go. It's just you are doing extra courses, and then if you want to ultimately switch back to computer science, it's usually easier.
Yeah, and along like Shasha just mentioned how it gets harder, which is a big factor. Not only that, it also prolongs your education period, right?
Mm.
If you decide to switch in third year, you might be adding another 2 years minimum into your study experience, unless you're again switching from engineering to comp sci. Because I'm not sure what the exact numbers, but I believe it's almost double the number of credits. Almost like I think half double or like double the number of credits you're doing in engineering in comparison to comp sci.
Mm.
It's specific to a point where like if you switch out to like a different program, it's like, oh, you need like so and so's prerequisites to get to this, level. So that's the main concern, because you have to meet all those prerequisites, which, as Philip mentioned, prolongs your period in school. So I'd say that kind of concludes that question about, yes, it is possible,
Yeah, yeah.
100% to switch, but you have to consider all your points, all the main points, such as how many prereq courses you would have to take and how long would you be in school? Are you comfortable with the time you'd be in school and all of that before switching?
Okay. So that leads us on to the next question. So question 4. So when applying to these universities, I've always heard that marks take precedence over everything else. For example, certain universities require supplementary applications for the admission process, but it can't heavily impact in the way the marks can. How much time should I spend per week on application? Should that be my priority, or getting better marks in grade 12 be my priority? Basically, the question is like supplementary applications. How much are they affecting your actual application of getting into a university? So, you guys can answer that.
Shashwat, you can start with that.
Okay, so for me, in my case, I didn't do that many supplementary applications because in my engineering, the universities I applied to, they didn't require that many supplementary applications or even not a single supplementary application. So it really depends from program to program. I can't speak that much on other programs, but I have heard that there's this precedence over the supplementary application, so the grades only get you into like a certain part of their process, and then the supplementary application is what decides if you get into that program. For me, in my experience, I haven't been through this harsh supplementary application process. In my case, I just focused on my studies, getting my marks, so I do get to get into a program. Also, like I'd like to do a lot of extracurricular activities. That's just my hobby. So like I also took part in that. So that's just in my case, I didn't have to worry about that many supplementary applications.
I would say, in terms of supplementary applications, in the general perspective, not just focusing on engineers, that's when it starts to vary whether it counts or not, right? For example, if you're going to be your BBAs or BComs, right? Like I had to do video interviews and also supplementary applications, right? For certain universities. I also had to that for like my medicine side, right? When I was looking into those, I also had to do certain applications, which did count for a good percentage of the choosing grade they used to do, right, for the universities.
Mhm.
So your volunteer experience, your personal portfolio does matter when it comes to certain degrees, but most universities, especially like engineering and stuff, it's your core marks that matter. The 6 courses that they require you to have from high school, those marks matter. Those marks usually take precedence over your what's it called, your supplementary applications. Some universities still do make you do they still do tell you to do supplementary applications. It might be a small thing like a small essay or like a 2-3 minute video interview, right? That they have preset. Like York had that. I would say it really depends on the university and the program you're going into. But let's say you do come to like an understanding of the fact that your university does care about the supplementary applications. You should not give full priority to that. You should find an even balance between getting the high mark as well as finishing up the supplementary application would be something I have to say.
I'd say supplementary is kind of just the university trying to figure out if like you're just like focusing on your marks and you're not doing other stuff that you need to do. They're just trying to find out if you're able to
Yeah.
balance what you need to balance as a
Mhm.
student. So I feel like that's what you need to focus on. Like your priority should definitely be getting marks 100% because most universities definitely look at marks considering the programs that we're talking about. They definitely look at marks 100%, but you should do as much as you can on the supplementary. We're not saying like completely focus on marks. We're kind of just saying fill out the supplementary as you need to. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like the balance should be there in many cases. Like even if you don't have a supplementary application, like even participating in extracurricular activities helps a lot in university experience, especially like I don't want to go too much into it, but like with co-op and stuff, you can still record stuff that you did in grade 12, grade 11. So that really still helps. Like I wouldn't suggest just weighing one side. The balance thing that Will brought up is really important, even if you don't have a strict supplementary application process.
Yeah, and don't
Right.
expect your supplementary application to carry over your average that you did not meet. So, as Mevin said, your mark is really important. And most of the time, supplementary applications are used when there are two even components for the same spot in the program, right? They check out, like, do you have a social life? Are you able? Your supplementary application, in other words, is used to like estimate how long will you really last in this program because they know the toughness, the difficulty, and the usual dropout rate and all that kind of stuff for those programs, right? So that really goes to show if you can time manage and have a lot on your plate if you can handle everything in balance.
So the last part of that question, let me add, is
Mhm.
how can I learn to balance all of these things? I believe we addressed that on the last podcast with Kat, where she said, go for extracurriculars that you're actually passionate about. Do it for the sake of your passion about learning, rather than for the sake of, you saying that, oh, I did so and so extracurricular. So if it's something you're passionate about, I believe you'll be able to find time and you'll kind of learn to balance it. So you obviously need to be realistic with your time and understand what you're able to do in the given time and what you're not able to do, and be able to say no to what you need to be able to say no to.
Okay, so that's all good points. That's the last question for this Q&A session is, universities stop looking at marks after the second semester midterm of grade 12. So this general question is, should I stop trying after my midterm marks are low? It's it's a thing that everyone wonders. I wondered it when I was in grade 11. I heard about it in grade 11, and I was like, oh, like, well, I only have to try it till like this midterm point. After that, you can do a lot of other things in grade 12. So, what do you guys' opinion on that? Like, should people stop trying? Like,
See,
that's just
the
yeah.
thing with this question is most people, including myself in high school, had the wrong perception on it. What universities actually, like, your early offers and your like February, March, April offers, right? All these offers are something called conditional offers, and most people, I believe, know what the word conditional means. There is a certain requirement you still have to fulfill for that conditional offer to become a full acceptance, right, into the program. So, like, I was in IB, so my exam finished in April, and my marks came out on July 7th. So up until July 7th, there was no guarantee of my spot in the program. After July 7th, I had received my email saying you have been confirmed into the program, right? Like full confirmation. So
Mhm.
there's no like reasoning for me to get pulled out unless like I did some kind of ethical mistake or something wrong like that. That's only a way that we would get pulled out of the spot. But other than that, I had confirmed my spot. So in my case, all the way till my final exams, it mattered. Might be a different case for some people, depending on their program. But most cases, I would say to maintain your conditional offer all the way till your first year, the first semester, first day into university, you do need to maintain good marks. You can't pull off a 90 average in first semester and then decide to decline it down to a 75. That will affect you. Some universities do have high averages, the ones like in Waterloo, for example, the ones that require you to have a 95 average, right? If you get past the first round and get the conditional offer, they will tell you going forward, you need to maintain an 85. You don't have to maintain that 95. So you just have to aim and balance it at an 85. Then you're settled, right? You're good for it. So just look out for that as well.
No, I agree with Philip 100%. I understand universities only look till there, but then that doesn't mean you can just like, oh, I'm done. Now I'm living life now. I'm chilling. You can't do that. Like when you get that conditional letter on your email, it definitely says you need to maintain a so and so average to stay in the program. Like I know friends who definitely did not consider that and just went ham, skipped class and just did whatever they want, ended up not getting that conditional offer because they weren't able to meet the average that was set by the university to stay in the conditional. So yes, we would definitely say keep trying, in the sense that try to stay inside the conditional offer margin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like I have two things to say about that. Like my perspective was like, oh, I don't need to try it after this. But what I found after is like even even after the midterm mark, there's a lot of content that's being taught to us, right? Like for example, I had calculus and physics after that midterm point. There's still content being taught in class, which is really important, that the content that I needed in first year of university, right? Like even if I did stop trying, I would still recommend pay full attention in class. Don't start skipping class. Don't start doing other stuff. You will need that knowledge in first year of university, and the first year university like professors won't know that, oh, you skipped classes and so we need to go over this again. They would always say that it was just review stuff, so you should know this stuff from grade 12. And also another point is that scholarships, that's a major point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going, even if the university says, oh, you need to maintain an 80, but the university scholarships are higher than 85, and you entered the university with that condition, right? So maintaining that 85 is still important because you might not get that scholarship if you go under 85, right? Scholarship is another major thing, that the scholarship mark is going to be determined as your final mark, not as your midterm mark.
That's a valid point.
So
yeah, that's a big point.
yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, I think that kind of like answers that question.
Mhm.
Please don't just stop trying, guys.
Yes, don't stop trying. You need all that content. You need all the scholarships, the highest mark you can get. It's really important when you enter university.
Because you can easily turn marks into currency with scholarship.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Big facts. Big facts. I think with that,
Mhm.
we wrap up our questions, right, Shasha?
Yeah, I think that's those are really good questions. I think yeah, that's a wrap.